Notice of public meeting of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville. Pursuant to Chapter 551, Title 5 of the Texas Government Code, the Texas Open Meetings Act, notice is hereby given that the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, in accordance with Article 5, Section 12 of the Charter of said city, will convene an executive session and a regular meeting on Tuesday, August the 7th, 2012, at 5:20 p.m. and 6 p.m. in the Commission Chambers on the second floor of the Brownsville City Hall, located at 1001 East Elizabeth Street, Brownsville, Cameron County, Texas. Executive session items. Item A, consultation with attorney regarding real estate acquisitions pursuant to Section 551.071 and 551.072 of the Texas Government Code. Item B, attorney consultation pursuant to Section 551.071 and 551.072 of the Texas Government Code regarding real estate acquisition. Item C, consultation with attorney pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.0711A regarding contemplated litigation, and 2, on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the governmental body under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with the Texas Government Code, Chapter 551.
Mayor, I move we go into executive session.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay.
There's two of them. So they need to make sure that if they appoint those three to the BBC, they don't appoint the same one. Isn't it?
Thanks for letting me know about Carlosville. I sent my guys out there to clean it up because she was out of town. She just got back in last night. Yeah. Yeah. Well, she got she sends it to me. Cool. Okay. Well, we got it done. Thank God.
What are you gonna do?
So you got me how to do it when that comes off. If I need to cut off, I'll just hit it.
Well, who's gonna say staff recommends you? I would just stay here so that you can get to the podium. Yeah.
I got all the. He's new in town. Welcome. Welcome.
You may want to be on the other side, but I'm trying to see if you can get to the podium, unless you want to go around this way.
What's that? Okay, so the magical hour, 6 o'clock.
Okay, Pledge of Allegiance and Invocation.
Everybody please stand. Wade, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag. Honor the Texas flag. Pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible. Today, Pastor John Flute from the First United Methodist Church. Welcome to Brownsville, and please pay it.
May we bow our heads in prayer. Dear God, bless us who meet here on this ground made holy by your word, which inspired the sacrifice of the pioneers of Brownsville, whose struggle and dedication has given us the freedom to meet here today. Consecrate these people here, whose vision and work guide Brownsville. Lead and guide us to make Brownsville beautiful in your sight. Help us to rejoice in this work and to persevere to its completion. Bless the progress of our beloved city, that our community of hope and faith may be filled with your praises and become for us a home where we may nurture the hope of those who came in faith before us. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor, and I want to welcome you to Brownsville. Appreciate you coming.
Love the valley.
Okay, great. Okay, next.
Action on items discussed in executive session. Action on item A, consideration and action on the purchase of real property located at 1004 East Adams.
Mayor, I would advise on action item A, staff to proceed as recommended in executive session, also to include the 90-day request apart from the South.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay.
No action on B?
Item B, action to proceed as advised by legal counsel in executive session.
No action required?
I don't think there's any
No action required.
this time.
Item C,
Do I hear a motion on action? Item number C.
Motion to proceed as per legal counsel's advice.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
mayor's activity report.
Yeah, let me take this opportunity to thank everybody for being here. I know that there's some things of interest, and we'll see how all that proceeds. And I'm kind of hoping that this interest carries on to other activities within our city, which leads me into what I'm about to talk about. And if some of you have been watching a little bit of what's been going on, our two fine institutions, the Texas Southmost College, Community College, and the University of Texas at Brownsville, are both seeking paths to fulfill their missions within their campuses. There seems to be some difference of opinion as to how to proceed with that, but we are trying on behalf of the city to not only give them options, but I want them at this particular moment to publicly, there will be a resolution, but I want them that on behalf of the Commission of the City of Brownsville, that we wholeheartedly stand behind the success and the mission that they have and wish them all the very best. And we will be there as a city to assist and make sure that all of their efforts meet with success and are the interest of our young people so that they can acquire careers and jobs in the future. So that's my report. Thank you.
Commissioners report. Commissioner Tetreault.
Do we have the pictures? One thing I wanted to briefly mention to the public is we have been working very aggressively with the police department, juvenile division, and keeping Brownsville beautiful. We have had a major breakout of graffiti in the District 2, Portway Acres, Mackenzie, Central Avenue area. And the most surprising thing are the kids that were caught were juveniles. And this is something that I felt was very important for the city and all of us to work together to address, because I feel that no youth should ever be left behind. And so this is actually a picture. If you notice in the middle, that's Police Chief Orlando Rodriguez. He's very shy. Leading these troubled youth, guiding them and mentoring them and making sure that they know all of their options and whatnot. And I actually was honored to do the first stroke on this building, not more than that, but but that child, you don't see his face, but you actually see him covering up something that he actually did himself. So it's very rewarding for us citizens who have been vandalized and victims of these offenses and crimes to know that justice is being served and these children are, learning their lesson and whatnot, and they're actually meeting the police chief himself and all of the other officers and investigators that are involved in this. And I just really, really, really wanted to thank the police department, Commander Pascal, Chief Orlando, because this is an amazing accomplishment, and I guarantee you those youth that we had lunch with, they didn't think that they had our attention, and I promise you they won't be doing it again. So again, I just want to thank the police department and Keeping Brownsville Beautiful and Home Depot for donating everything free. And so pretty much that's what I've been working on these last few weeks in District 2, and I hope to continue. And also on August 11th, I think we'll be continuing with the painting throughout town. If you have any graffiti, call us, let us know. Even if you just want to volunteer, most of the kids that we had out there are kids that want it on their college resume, that they work with the city and whatnot. Parents, I hope you send us your kids. It's a very valuable and knowledgeable tool that as a community we need to utilize. And so yes, thank you.
Well done. Proclamations?
Proclamation for Ms. Sharon Moore. Original.
Is something that's very special to me. I don't know if you noticed that I have my tennis shoes on, but Mrs. Moore was actually my principal for middle school and high school. So I was a very, very blessed youth to have that stability in my education experience. And what Mrs. Moore taught us is that you can be a successful woman wearing a business suit and getting the work done in your tennis shoes. To travel the streets downtown. But no, and I see why you do it. It's a great idea. So another thing is I posted on Facebook, click like if Ms. Sharon Moore was your principal, and I cannot tell you the flood of likes and comments that praise you for everything you've done. You've touched so many lives, and you single-handedly have made such an impact on the lives of so many of the successful people here in Brownsville, and we owe you so many thank yous for putting up with us and guiding us along the right path. So, a proclamation of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, recognizing and commending Sharon Moore on her 44 years of excellence in education. Whereas, on June 30th, 2012, Sharon Moore retired after teaching a career that spanned some 44 years, including 13 years as a classroom teacher, 22 years as a school principal, and 9 years as an administrator in the main office at the Brownsville Independent School District. And whereas Sharon Moore began her teaching career in 1969 in Dallas, Texas, and in 1977 moved with her family to Brownsville to accept a position as a math teacher at Stell Middle School. And whereas from that time, Sharon Moore enjoyed a career of upward mobility that carried her from the classroom to the principal's office of an administrator with BISD. Whereas in 1985, Sharon Moore was appointed to the position of principal of Longoria Elementary School. Then in 1991, she served as a principal of El Jardín Elementary School. And from there, it was on to the principal job at Oliveda Middle School, which under her leadership became the first BISD secondary school to be selected as one of the only 30 schools throughout Texas to be selected as a TEA mentor school. Whereas, in 1998, Sharon Moore was appointed the principal of Hanna High School. There you go. And it was during that tenure at Hanna that was one of the 30 Texas high schools selected as a TEA mentor high school campus, and still not finished. She went on to serve as an administrator for accelerated programs, the first principal of the Brownsville Academic Center. For the first 2 years of its existence, she supervised the principal of the Brownsville Early College High School and monitored the school's operation. Now therefore, we the members of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, by the virtue vested of the authority vested in the charter of the said city on behalf of all of our citizens, do hereby congratulate and commend Sharon Moore, who during a 44-year career in education is the only BISD administrator to serve as a principal at the high school, middle school, and elementary school level. We wish her well in her retirement, done on the 7th day of August, 2012.
I've had a good time. Let's just put it this way. I have so enjoyed my years as a campus principal, and I want to thank Jessica and members of the City Commission, and of course Mayor Martinez for this wonderful honor. I've had many, many highlights in my career, and none of that is possible without the people that I have worked with. The wonderful parents, the wonderful teachers, the strong administrators, my friends, my husband, my sister who's here, everyone, my special friends here in the audience. This was not done by myself. You know, I always used to tell my faculty, you know, I'm just one part of a circle, and if everybody does their job, we're going to be successful. But if even one link of the circle is not successful, then we're not going to move forward. So fortunately, I was able to, with the help of all my friends and with all the wonderful faculty members and the support of the students and the parents, we were able to do good things because we all had a common vision. And that's the most important thing that I hope continues in BISD, because we have to continue moving forward. The community has to work with the city, with the school district, so all together we can continue to do what's the most important resource that we have, is our children. So I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate it so much, and this is going to have a very, very special place in my study, in my home. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sharon.
Mayor, we're gonna table this to the following meeting, please, the Employee of the Month.
I think the next one, Bean.
Brownsville Convention and Visitors Bureau Quarterly Report.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. May I congratulate Ms. Moore first? Ma'am, Ms. Moore, you remember a young man named Michael Ayala? Real well. I want to tell you how well you did with him. He went on to graduate from Ball State University. He's now a special needs teacher at Austin High School, and now he's the freshman baseball coach. And I want to congratulate you for affecting my son's life. Thank you very much. With that in mind, my name is Mariano Ayala. I'm your president and CEO of the Brownsville Convention Visitors Bureau. With me, I have Miguel Calles, our communications director. As you see, we have, wow, always a fiesta, Brownsville. And the other day, someone says, wow, it's just a party and what have. No, I wrote this the other day, and I just want to read it out to the general public, because what we're saying is Brownsville is a festive mood. It's a good frame of mind city. When people come here and leave Brownsville, they're going to come back and say, you need to go Brownsville. Everyone knows everybody. Everybody appreciates everybody. Everybody's helping each other. And what we mean is when we speak of Brownsville, always a fiesta, we are talking about the many ways we celebrate and come together as a family in Brownsville. It's the festive attitude of our community that brings us together and welcome tourists with open arms. We celebrate throughout the year, beginning with Mr. Amigo's Taste of la Frontera in January, Shower Days, Sombrero Fest, and Mr. Amigo in February, Air Fiesta in March, Easter, Semana Santa in April, Memorial Day, along with our silent walk honoring our veterans in May, the city's 4th of July celebration for Independence Day, Labor Day, which we also have the South Texas Conjunto. We have in October, we have Zufari and Latin Jazz Festival. We have the Holiday Village from November through January. And finally, our Christmas Parade, which is held in December. And I'm not even talking or including Build a Better Block Brownsville, nor downtown Mercadito. So as you see, we always have something to do in Brownsville. We always welcome everyone in Brownsville. Thus, the new title or our campaign, Always a Fiesta. Go ahead.
Who's got it?
We have a list of our board of directors. I'm not going to read it to you. I know you have a long agenda, so we'll go to the next slide. I'll have Miguel explain it to you.
Okay, on our website, we're actually doing very good. Our website continues to attract a lot of visitors from all over the continent. Really, we've got the USA leading the way. We have also got a lot of visitors from Mexico and Canada as well. In Texas, it continues to be the leading state. Obviously, it's our home state. California, second, Pennsylvania, Oregon, and Florida. And these varies throughout different months, but this is the month that these states were. Now, in Brownsville, we've also got a lot of our visitors are coming from Brownsville, which is good because that means that we're doing our job in letting the public know about our events, happening in the city, the attractions, and everything that's going on, McAllen, and then the general region as well. On our social media, we also continue to push that forward. We've got our Facebook continues to grow in likes. Our website has been being engaged virally with shares on Facebook, Twitter, and whatnot. So we're continuing to push that forward, and stay tuned. We also got a new social media campaign coming on Instagram, where we'll let users and residents of the city take pictures on their phone, and they can see that on our website, and let the visitors that come to our website also experience the city from their point of view.
A lot of our advertisement that we do in Texas Monthly and other Tour Texas and what have you, we get bulk mail or direct people that want a official visitor's guide. In 2011, for the third quarter, we had 5,091 requests. This year, we had 5,946, so it went up a little bit. Some of the advertisement that we've done this quarter is in Texas Monthly. If you notice our WOW campaign and the bottom right, we're emphasizing Char Days, the zoo, and our ecotourism. We will never forget our friends in Mexico. There's still a vibrant market. They're starting to come around again. We use El Norte, and we go ahead. Miguel is the one that's done this in-house. This advertising is done in-house by Miguel. And if you notice, it's Brownsville, Siempre una Fiesta. And we also have to, we use the Valley has several visitors guides, and we tend to be in it because when visitors come, say in McAllen, Mission, what have you, they pick up one of these, and we want to make sure that Brownsville is well represented. And if you notice, we use WOW, more reasons to stay in Brownsville. And we're hoping that they remember we have 7 golf courses within 25 minutes of Brownsville, our world famous zoo, and always a festive atmosphere. We're emphasizing athletics. We want to make sure that we use our sports park. One of the things we've been emphasizing is working very closely with the USSSA, it's United States Sports Specialty Association. They have national, international tournaments. As you know, we're working in cooperation with the sports park, Mr. Tuffy Martinez, and with Mr. Chris Patterson for the Parks and Recreation. We were able to land a World Hispanic softball tournament, which will be held at the sports park. And this is the ad that we came up with. WOW, run, jump, and slide, play in Brownsville. We don't want to forget our meters. There's a meters planners guide that's sent out to all the planners of events throughout the state of Texas. Commissioner Zamora is well aware of this one. And once again, we have a full page ad. It's a small magazine, but it's very effective. One of the things that the board of directors have always asked me is to be involved in the community. Let them know that the Convention Visitors Bureau is out there helping. We help with a kayak racing, a better block at Market Square, Hook for Life, and I'm still sore from the basketball game against the Cowboys. So Some of our third quarter highlights, we're doing our Brownsville Tourist Ambassador Program. And for the general public, if you have an audience that would like to know about some of the facts about Brownsville, we call this the Tourist Ambassador Program. And it's been working. We've done several hoteliers. And one of the best stories we've heard after we did a presentation to a hotel, the following morning, the general manager was making the round. They heard a housekeeper being asked by a visitor, what is there to do in Brownsville? And boy, she remembered the Miticulture District. She didn't say perfect, but she remembered Miticulture District. She remembered about the museums. She emphasized the zoo. She talked about the costumes of America. And then she says there's plenty of golf places to play. So that in itself means it's working, because at one time, that person might have said nothing, or just a zoo, or maybe the beach. But this time she said 4 or 5 different things. So to me, that's what the Ambassador Program is about. We also put a new kiosk or information kiosk at the bus terminal, and it's working very well. We have to go and refill it, take more banners and brochures and what have you. I attended the Houston Art Car Parade. It's humongous. It's something I think we can do in Brownsville. What it was, they had about 300 entries. And these are just vehicles that people paint or whatever, all kinds. And I think this is something we can promote during our slower times, say in July or August. And I think this might be the best way to have something exciting happen in Brownsville. Go ahead. We had the Texas Travel Industry Association and the AAR. They came with the Texas Information Centers. They came to the valley and they had a tour of the whole valley. And they wanted to have food somewhere not the norm. So we took them to the Brownsville Coffee Shop on South Moulth and International. And Miss Jovita, Brownsville Coffee Shop, was awarded the best breakfast during that tour. So we went up to the TTIA Association meeting, and Jovita received her plaque for being the best breakfast during that tour. And that was a tour of the whole valley. Go ahead. I'll let Miguel just explain what ARLAG is.
Okay, I went this past month to promote Brownsville at ARLAG, as the Association of Representantes de Líneas Aéreas de Guadalajara. And at this convention, I got to distribute personally over 500 visitors' guides to different travel agents from all over the state. It was a great opportunity. We made a lot of contacts. We've actually put those into our contact list, and we'll be distributing our visitor's guide to even more places across Mexico. So it was a great opportunity for us to continue to promote Brownsville, and we'll be doing more of these expositions in the future as well.
Tell them about the interview.
We also were interviewed with Travel Medios TV, which is a program that they showcase over 17 states across Mexico. So we got some free publicity from that as well. It was a great opportunity. We got exposure, and we're continuing to get the word out there as well. So that's work.
It's how long do you think that the interview was? The interview was about 2 minutes. We have it here, but in order to save time, we'll show it to you some other time. But it's 2 minutes, and they had film of Brownsville in the background, and it showed a lot of interesting places. And the beauty of it is it was shown throughout 17 states across Mexico at no cost to us. Right. Go ahead. These are some of the meetings that were held during the quarter, and it brought in approximately about $80,000. Go ahead. This is our walk-in. Last year, if you notice, the yellow is 2011. This year is green, and if you notice, we have a little bit more people walking into Brownsville. And according to the economic impact of the Governor's Office, Economic Development and Tourism, the formula they used would turn this number into $565,000 if these walk-ins spend the money that they should. Go ahead. Some of the sporting events that we help bring into Brownsville is the UIL 5A Regionals Boys and Girls Soccer Tournament. It was the second year, and I'm glad to say that BISD got word, and Drew Brown told me they approved it, that they're going to be here 2 more years. So obviously Brownsville has done something great. I'm happy to say that we worked very closely with, at that time, Athletic Director Coach Chavez, once again Tuffy Martinez, once again Chris Patterson, and myself. We went up against 6 other cities of the valley. We got it 3 years ago, and obviously we did something good, and the city's doing well, that we're going to have it again. And these are 3 other softball tournaments that were held during the 3rd quarter that has an economic impact of $819,000. For the quarter, we had a return on investment of $939,000. Our annual budget is $525,000, and we hope we can keep increasing. And I will entertain any questions or comments.
I know we have several business owners here and managers.
Yes.
At your visitor center, you do encourage them to drop off brochures
Yes,
for
ma'am.
their restaurants, so you guys can go by and do that to encourage
Thank you.
visitors to go and patronize your establishments. You also have an online events calendar
Yes,
and
ma'am.
e-marketing. Do you want to let them know how
Oh.
they can get their information to you? Because I know sometimes they have like cook-offs and
Very good.
fundraisers for local nonprofits, and you can help them with getting the word out.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Go ahead.
Well, we encourage everyone to visit our website. You can see all the events, as I mentioned before, but also you can sign up for a newsletter that goes out every week. So that'll keep you up to date for all the events that are happening for that week. It's a great way to know what's going on around the city. So we encourage everyone, if you scroll down to the bottom of our webpage, there's a little input field where you can put in your email address, sign up, and you'll start receiving that email and get the word out.
About the mobile app?
Yes. We also have our mobile application that you can see. It's you go to brownsville.org on your mobile iPhone or Android. You'll be able to see restaurants. All our members are listed there. Our restaurants, hotels, events are there as well. So we encourage everyone to look at that as well.
And how many visitors guides do you print?
This year?
60,000.
1,000, in which you do sell advertising for
Yes,
local
ma'am.
businesses, and it's rather inexpensive, which
Yes.
you distribute throughout Texas,
ma'am.
Mexico.
We have 50,000 in English and 10,000 will be in Spanish. And we take them to all our trade shows, and that bulk mail, that's what we send those people to their house. And at this time, we are looking for membership, and we have some very good opportunities. So if anybody would like to become a member of the Convention Visitors Bureau, you're more than welcome to call us or go to www.brownsville.org, and we'll get a hold of you.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bean.
Thank you all.
very much. Appreciate it.
Yes.
Next presentation is Utility System Revenue Refunding Plan.
Good evening, Mayor, City Commissioners. My name is Sandro Garcia, Chief Financial Officer for the Brownsville Public Utilities Board. Today we have a presentation on $23.2 million in revenue refunding bonds. Mr. Noe Hinojosa and his staff with Estrella Hinojosa have been monitoring the market and have put together a favorable plan of finance for us, which we anticipate completing in the next couple of months. Mr. Hinojosa will be going over the details.
Good evening, Mayor, member of the Commission, Noe Hinojosa for the record, with Estrella Hinojosa and Company. Basically, what we bring before you is a financing that contemplates not only the markets, but also the PUB's attempt to maintaining a flexible position as in regards to debt. I'll take you real quickly to page 3, and there is just basically 3 graphs. The one that I like to point out to you is the bottom quadrant on the right-hand corner, where you see 3 lines, a green one, a red one, a yellow one. The yellow one is basically where the rates are today. If you look at year 1 at the bottom, there's an axis, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13. Basically, when you sell bonds like mortgages, you sell bonds with 30-year amortizations of 25-year or 20-year. And what we're showing you there is that the yields between July 2012 versus June 2012 and July 11 were pretty low rates. And basically, on the left-hand side, you see what other cities are doing. So It's not an uncommon practice for issuers like yourselves when needing to go out and borrowing for long-term debt to take advantage when those rates are attractive. Today, those rates are attractive. The second page, or the page number 4, on the next one, I guess, there it's just on the right-hand corner of the quadrant on the right, there's a lot of lines. What's important here to note on the right-hand quadrant is that yields have been coming down pretty consistently since 2009. Pretty much the rates that we see today are probably about a 30-year low. So just think about whenever we finance that these are the right markets to go out and finance. The next page only corroborates that in that those 3 lines, the yellow one is the U.S. Treasuries. If some of you invest in United States bonds, you probably complain as an investor that you don't get much of a yield in return, but in this case you're borrowing, so you're not paying much for that loan. The gray line is a GO bond debt, which time to time we borrow on a GO bond. The red line is a revenue bond, and that's what the PUB does. The PUB, when borrowing or accessing the capital markets, it does it on a revenue bond basis. The full faith and credit of the city of Brownsville is not supported towards the repayment of these bonds. Page 7 basically shows you on the left-hand side various bars that started in 2012 all the way to 2033, and that pretty much shows you the annual payments the PUB makes on behalf of the system for improvements of the system. And the type of debt that we've used to repay that debt is on the pie on the right. Basically, what you see on the right, the top hand corner, you see senior lien debt of about $290 million. That's what the system has borrowed over the last 20 years per se, 15 years. That's how much is outstanding in long-term debt. Commercial paper, 24,450, is what we're bringing to you tonight. We're trying to take out the 24,450 and borrowing about $23 million in change to repay that money and pay it off over long term. Today, the commercial paper credit line does not, it's not amortized over 20, 30 years. So what we're doing here is taking out that commercial paper and replacing it, if you go turn to page 8, with basically a $23,210,000 financing at the very top. And you'll see how the blue bars are now being replaced with the blue and the green. This financing will have no impact on the user rates. It's very much from the very moment that we created the commercial paper program back in 2005, I believe, it was never anticipated to have an impact on rates. So we're doing that in an attempt to take advantage of interest rates and also to complement what the PUB is doing in the next 5 years in its attempts to fund about $150 million in capital improvement plans, strictly with cash and commercial paper. So tonight, I guess we got more pages in there, but I'd like to take you to the very last page on page 12, and at that point I'll stop. But basically tonight, we're coming to you for the approval of this first reading of an ordinance. This is a recommendation from the PUB board. The commission is the only authority in Brownsville that can borrow money on behalf of the utility system. So the utility system in its capacity is recommending to you that you approve this plan of finance so that basically we can go to the capital markets on or about September the 18th or the 25th for that matter. Today is the first reading, it's August the 7th, so we're not contemplating coming to the markets until about another month and a half. So what we're trying to do is coming to you well in advance so that you can have an opportunity to review the material, ask us any questions you may have between now and then. We will then subsequently come September the 18th for the second reading, at which time we will then proceed in trying to get the loan, get the rates fixed and so on and so forth. So I'll conclude that and I'll entertain the questions you may have.
Any questions, Commissioners?
We've already been briefed, so
Yes,
thank
sir.
you. Thank you so
And
much.
thank you for the opportunity you all
Yeah,
gave
it's not
me.
that we don't want to ask questions, it's just that we've already been correctly briefed.
Thank you for the opportunity you gave me last week, by the way.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Noe.
Thank you, Mayor.
Appreciate it.
Yes. I do need a motion in a second.
I know.
Thank you, sir.
Presentation
Item
of
5,
resolution.
consent agenda items A through C.
Point of order, can you make the consent item C open to the public? There are many people here wishing to express their point of views, and I'm asking the mayor.
No, what I would like, at this particular point is consent items, only A and B be entertained as consent items, because I have been asked or requested by Director Rodriguez to table. Is that your request?
Honorable Mayor, Commissioners, good afternoon. I wish to continue item C for 1 week to allow for public input on the matter and to bring it back forward for final reading a week from today.
Okay.
5C.
Wait just a second. Okay. First of all, we will have, just, excuse me, please have order. Order. Just a second. We'll have consent items A and B, and I'll entertain a motion.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, motion carries.
Mayor, at this time, I'd ask that motion, that consent item 5C be brought out of consent and continue for the next meeting.
Okay, and that will be a motion to table this item C until the next meeting.
Second.
Do I hear a second?
Second, sir.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item C will be tabled.
Mayor, could I make just real brief comment?
Sure.
It wasn't that we weren't going to allow anybody to talk. That's just under Robert's Rules of Order. That's the way it has to be followed, so it has to be brought to the next meeting. That's not that we don't want to give you folks an opportunity. You'll have your opportunity at the next meeting. Sorry about that.
And the,
Yes, sir. No, it'll be on the agenda as a public comment. It'll be
and
within the.
consequently, Director Rodriguez, what I might suggest is that even though we want to go for the next meeting, I think we probably need a little bit more workshops or something of that nature. And although I'm not prepared right now to entertain a motion because it's not on the agenda, but for right now, we'll have it on the agenda as requested. But I would urge everybody, under the best practices rules, to take a look at exactly what we're looking at and fully explain what it is that we can do and what we cannot do for the next meeting. So all that being said, I do appreciate all the comments that were being made. I appreciate the orderly way in which we're conducting this business. I want you to know that we respect each and every one of your opinions and input into this thing. We certainly want all the people to express. We had a lot of interest in this particular matter, and we appreciate it. You know, we may not agree with it, we may agree with it. That's not the point. The point is that everybody's entitled to a voice. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next item.
Boards and commissions, item 6, consideration and action to appoint members to the Brownsville Beautification Committee.
Mayor, I'm going to present Sylvia Galvan Garza to present this from the Beautification Committee.
That's the only thing we're interested in. I noticed that, part of the agenda is of interest.
Cynthia? Cynthia. Let's see.
City Manager, Mr. Kavler.
Cynthia.
Just as a point of clarification, I wasn't able to synthesize everything. How many members are there to be appointed to the Brownsville Beautification Committee?
I think we have vacancies, 4 vacancies, Mayor, but we only have 3 viable applicants.
Okay.
But I'm going to let Cynthia speak about that.
Again, what I would appreciate the administration doing is, you know, summarizing for me. I mean, I saw the applications and I read through the whole deal, but saying there's four that need to be filled. There's only 3 applicants. We recommend them. We don't recommend them. Some people have been asked to be reappointed, but they've not attended meetings before, and that's still not on the information sheet that you all provided to
The
us.
information sheet identifies, Patrick, some of these people cannot be reappointed.
I'm not talking about this one. I'm talking about the next.
Oh, I see.
You know, in other words, I would like to see, for the commissioner's purposes, hey, this guy's been on there for 4 years, he's still eligible, but he's attended all the meetings, and, you know, he's a good candidate, you know.
You mean the next,
Yeah, I mean, I think for all of these appointments, I mean, I think I expressed this displeasure the last time.
we'll have Ben Medina explain that at the next, this is Sylvia.
Okay,
Cynthia.
go ahead.
Hi. I'm Cynthia Galvan, and I'm the current chairperson for the Brownsville Beautification Committee. And as City Manager Kabler stated, we have 4 vacancies open, and I reviewed the 3 applicants. I don't know them personally, but if they're willing to work hard and serve on the Beautification Committee to help beautify Brownsville, I recommend that we appoint them. We have some people that have been serving terms that have already expired, like myself. My term expired in November, but until we find one more person, I won't be able to resign.
And so you're recommending that Alberto Garcia, Justin Dinsdale, and Rodney Gomez be appointed to the Beautification Committee. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
Is it going to be for the slate, Mayor? Just to appoint the slate?
Yeah.
So, second.
Motion to appoint?
Okay, a motion and a second. Does it, hear a vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You now have 3 new members.
Cynthia will stay until we find a viable applicant to replace her.
And thank you for all your work. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Item 7, consideration and action to appoint or reappoint 1 member to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Honorable Mayor and City Commission, the only member here that needs to be appointed or somebody else appointed is Miguel Salinas, as you can see there on the screen. He's the chair and would like to continue serving.
Okay, now here again, you're talking about resides in District Number 4 is Miguel Salinas, and he's already on there. Where do the rest of these guys reside? You know, again, I'm
Right
not, you know.
You can move the screen up, please.
Move it up a little bit. A little higher. The second column is the districts where they reside.
I don't see a single district.
No, but those are the proposed applicants.
Yes, I know, but that's where those are the districts where
And
those
you're only
particular
looking for
people
one.
reside.
You're only
Yes.
looking for one.
One, yes.
Okay.
Right, but that's where they reside.
Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion. Those are the,
I'll make a motion to appoint Craig Grove.
A second.
Craig, okay.
Craig Grove.
Craig Grove. All those in favor of the Mr. Grove signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Public hearings. Public hearing and action in regards to the Brownsville Metro's proposed service changes.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Commissioners. First of all, I need to make a correction on the agenda item. It is only, we're here only as a public hearing. We're not taking any action this night. Tonight is just this is our 3rd public hearing that we're having on these service changes, proposed service changes. And with me to make the presentation is going to be Gabriel Zuniga, our transit planner, and Alex Loria, our grant writer and outreach manager. So I'll let them make the presentation, and then we'll take any questions after that. Thank you.
Good evening. I want to give you a brief update on our routes. The 2 routes that we're recommending or proposing changes on is Route 30, in southeast portion of Brownsville, and Route 4, Los Ebanos. Route 30 was started April 2007, and this is a brief summary, I guess, of our service hours, service area. This is the alignment, the route, the region which we service, or Route 30 services. The green line represents the route itself, and the yellow dots represent the bus stops that people could actually use to get on and off the bus. The other lines, which is the pink, purple, the blue, and the white, represent connecting routes which Route 30 can connect to get to the other part of the system. These are performance metrics for Route 30 and the delineation of the route since its birth to now, or June actually. So you have days of service, revenue hours, revenue miles, passenger trips, things of that nature. This is ridership since 2008 till 2012, June specifically. And as you can see, ridership increased, and until now, it's steadily decreasing. So up to date, we're projecting to have a little over 6,000 riders, as opposed to last year's 5,700. This is ridership monthly for this year, starting in October, which is our fiscal year. And you can see how it just meanders through. It's inconsistent, I guess, because of the weather, timing, stuff like that. July, which is the last month we inputted here, has 411 riders. These are other performance metrics. The first two, as you can see, indicate cost. So we're comparing our system-wide averages versus Route 30. 6.9 versus $3.72. The ones in red indicate, I guess, abnormal numbers compared to the rest of the system. As you could see, the cost per passenger mile system-wide is about 41 cents versus $1.69. Passenger trip costs about almost $3.50 per passenger versus almost $28 on Route 30. So they're just performance metrics that we measure, and these are average numbers, and they're relative to other systems that are close to our size. These are ridership numbers to date, and we are comparing both extremes of our system. Route 6, which is the tall one, has 164 riders. That's our highest ridership route. Versus if you remove Route 30, Route 15 would be our lowest ridership route, which is about 32,000. And then you have Route 30, which is about 5,000. So you could see the comparison in both extremes. The debate is which one is the outlier. We have all three scenarios here. Based on these performance metrics, and really it's the amount of ridership we have, we are proposing to eliminate the route. So this is part of the planning process. We're not recommending anything now. We're just proposing the change, and we're here mainly for public input and your all's as well. Route 4, the service changes we're proposing. Basically the same thing. We have Monday to Saturday, 6 to 7, and these are the areas that we service, or the main points really. This is the route that we're talking about. The yellow part is the existing part of the route. The red part is the one we're eliminating, and the blue part is the part that we're adding. Part of this route is, or part of the reason for this changes is we've had a big outcry to service. There's a dialysis center, a cancer center near the expressway, just south of 802, and there's a vocational school. At the time, there is no service out there, so this is a way to expand service into that area. At the same time, we want to remove the portion that goes to the mall, since we already have 3 different routes over there. So we're trying to provide the same amount of service with the same amount of cost. This is another proposed route we're doing. And this is actually straight to the mall and back. It's more of a direct route, express route, if you will. It's just back and forth, back and forth. Now, we're not adding more service to the mall, because if these changes do go forth, we are removing the service from Route 4 and adding this one. So service to the mall stays the same. A lot of people like to go to the mall. A huge portion of our ridership actually goes to the mall, and it increases towards the holiday season. So this should be beneficial to the people. And that's just the delineation of the route. It's in the proposed stages for future use. Doesn't mean we're going to act on it now. It's good to keep an eye out for the future. I don't know if you guys have any questions regarding any of the metrics or...
About putting a bus route that would lead to the oncology center, because as you know, a lot of our citizens do utilize that, and that they're not going through enough already. I think we should offer services to that location.
Have we talked about any services to the sports park yet? Some still, to the sports park?
That's another area that, there's another. We've got areas right now that we're trying to figure out how to get to those areas with the same routes that we have in mind. So the idea is to try to become creative in how we provide that service. For example, the service to the mall would potentially maybe alleviate some of the buses right now that service that area, that would allow us to service other areas that aren't being serviced, like what we're proposing to do with Route 4. And then, so it's just a process that we have to take step by step based on the service guidelines that we have to follow. When we provide any services to areas, I mean, we've got gaps because we've been growing a lot faster than we are getting resources and fundings to increase the service. So we're actually trying to see how we can do that with the current level of buses and staff and funding that we currently have. But I mean, that is one of the ones, that's one area that is pending to figure out how we're gonna get service to that eventually. But it is in part of what we are in our planning documents.
Planning for, do you have a prospective time frame for that?
For that particular area right now, no, we're concentrating on these three. We've got 6 months to try to be able to accomplish these changes, and then we'll look into another area and then study that and then see how we can accommodate those changes in that other area. But it's based on our ridership, like Gabriel explained, where numbers are not as high as they should be, and how we can better address that and be able to increase our numbers in each of the areas.
What about providing service as an option during special events? We have lots of really great special events out there where families and children can't afford to drive all the way over there. I'm just trying to figure out a way for them to get over there to enjoy the benefits that the rest of the community gets to enjoy.
And we've explored that before as well, and then again, it's another type of service that's more like a shuttle service. It's not a fixed route, so that requires a different type of regulations that we have to adhere to. And right now, we don't really have any means of providing dedicated shuttle services to dedicated events, because there's not a source of funding that service right now. We don't have a source for funding that service.
So it goes as far as the flea market?
Right now, yes. So the way that we would be able to do that, depending on the event, again, our services end at 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening, and the issue is not, is how do you get them back, because our services end at a certain time, and most of these events are going to be, beyond the service hours that we provide, if we do have them. And then we don't provide any service on Sunday as well.
I would love to, once you organize and figure out and decide what you want to do, I would love to take a bus ride through my district, if that could be arranged, just to see the changes that you've made. I would love to do that.
You're just going to have to pay for it, that's all.
I got it covered.
You can take it any time, it's a public service.
Yes, but yeah.
No, well, the new route to see, versus what.
Right, we will be more than glad to coordinate something with you, and I'll get staff to contact you. I mean, we'll get together this week.
Thank you, Norma. I appreciate
Norma, just one quick question on Commissioner Zamora's concern with the sports park. Is that a gap that Valley Metro can help us with, or not really, because it's inside the city?
Right now, I believe Valley Metro through their Route 45, is it Route? It's Route 45, they do deviate to the sports park if they get a request to go there.
Yeah.
So right now, in coordination with them, we were able to identify some times that they're able to, but it's not all, yeah, it's not frequently. But there is the opportunity to connect to Route 45 from our routes to get to the sports park through that coordinated effort with Valley Metro.
And do we have on our bus website a link to their routes?
Actually,
Or
not-
at least a link to the Development Council site?
I don't know if it's on our website, but I know that we do have their routes at our customer service window, and we do issue that information to the public when it's being requested, so we do have their schedules that we hand out. Our staff hands that out. But as far as linking them through the website, we do or we don't?
We don't.
No, we don't, but it'll be easy to accommodate.
Okay.
Perhaps you might be able to have an area where, that is specifically dedicated to that. Want to get to the sports park? This is how you would do it for people that live in some place or cannot afford a car or can't always afford a car, to make it user-friendly for them.
Right. And we do that, and then we also advise them that we do have the bike racks so that they can, take the bus to the end of the route, and then from there take a bike to.
Well, actually, that's a problem because
It's a long
the
drive.
access road is cut off by the railroad, and one person's already been killed on that overpass.
Yeah.
Which is another problem we need to address.
Norma, it struck a chord when Jessica mentioned about that this specific route would probably be towards our medical centers, and the proposed route.
Yes, the Route 4, yes.
Are the drivers certified in CPR, first aid, those kinds of things?
No. That is.
Thinking ahead, what comes to mind is maybe somebody decides to take public transportation to a medical facility. Within the route, something happens. Nobody on there. Would it be a liability for us because while they were on the bus, something happened to them? Would we be able to have some kind of a first response through the driver maybe the driver's being certified in CPR, or just your basic, first aid or?
Right now, the drivers, none of our drivers are, because of of them having to be trained to do that. What we do is we call, they dispatch 911, they know how to handle the person, but they don't physically do, they're gonna get them to a comfortable and safe area, but we call, they call dispatch, and then we call, the fire department or the police department, 911.
I'd consider it just, if you could look into it.
Yes.
And maybe possibly getting staff drivers certified in CPR if it's not expensive or it's not too much to ask for. If you could probably.
We've looked at that, but yeah, we'll definitely get back to you on that.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Norma, thank you. This is not an action item. And then when you do look at the training of those folks, I suggest you talk to the city attorney's office as well for any possible liability on the Good Samaritan theory.
Yeah.
Okay? Next item?
It's a public hearing, so I don't know if there's any other
Oh, I'm
public
sorry.
comments.
Go ahead.
Roberto Ureste. Since you're closing 30, or you're proposing 30 and 4, my question will be the shelters. I've been asking for a shelter for the Galaxia area. Now, how many shelters will be eliminated, have been built there for the public that won't be used, and will they be moved?
Good question.
For the Galaxa area, we do have a grant, and that area is, you're gonna get a shelter at your location, at that location, because it warranted one. So, but the bus stops out in Route 30, we don't have any shelters out there. We don't have it's all just signs. It's just bus stops. And the area that we're deviating on Route 4, there's no shelters either on that particular segment of the route. So it just requires, right now, there's no shelters, it's just the signs.
I thought there was one next to the post office, main post office. That's not, okay, still me, okay.
Yeah, that
All
area,
right.
yeah, that area is not being removed. But yes, but through our New Freedom program, we are going around town and building the sidewalks, ADA accessible, bus stops. And we've identified in the west end route or Galaxia area, there is a few locations that the shelter will be placed at.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right.
Thank you, Norma.
It's not public comment, it's.
This is not public comment. On this specific item.
Well, I hear sidewalks mentioned and stuff.
Well, they'll get.
When do you think we might be able to get together?
Whenever the mayor says so.
Next item.
No, she has.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Nomás diga su nombre. Aquí.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre
Buenas
es Silvia
tardes.
Martínez. Ha habido muchos cambios, lo entiendo, pues son muchas las situaciones las que tienen ustedes que ver, que estudiar. Inclusive hablé con el señor por teléfono y pues sí me preocupa bastante porque soy una persona que usa el sistema para ir a mi trabajo y se han eliminado horarios también. Y estoy preocupada porque en mi lugar, yo sí voy a batallar para transportarme a mi trabajo, pero yo también pienso que las personas, por ejemplo, la Ruta 30, ustedes tienen toda la razón, tienen que ver costos, tienen que ver todo, pero ¿no habría también otra opción de cubrir un día a la semana o una cosa así para las personas que van a batallar, que sí usan el transporte, que son de las pocas personas que usan el transporte?
And that's the reason for the public hearing, because we're going to take into account all the input that we have from the public and then see if there's an alternate means of transportation, or we deviate a route, or if there's, another means of providing service to the individuals that are regular users of the service. So all of that we need to bring back to you when we come with the final recommendation based on all the input that we receive from the public for the actions to be taken. But yes, we are certainly taking that into consideration.
Anyone else? Thank you, Norma. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
To close public hearing?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, public hearing is closed.
Item 9, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 235-2012-019 to rezone from dwelling Z to light commercial G classification for .36 acres out of Espiritu Santo grant located at 1606 Minnesota Street.
Honorable Mayor and City Commission, the area here is shaded in red. It's on Minnesota, close to the intersection of Houston Street. The applicant here would like to have a used car lot. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted unanimously to approve this application with recommendation. This is a public hearing.
Any questions,
I'm sorry,
comments?
Ben, where exactly is that?
It's on Minnesota, north of the Ozanam Center. It's right there in the corner, right next to that one with red. And that's right north of that is the Ozanam Center.
And so, is anybody opposing it?
Opposing it? No.
Okay.
Move to close? Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. Item is now an action item.
Would approve?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item
Aye.
number 10.
Item 10, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 235-2012-020 to rezone from dwelling G classification to general retail G for 5.84 acres out of Lot 1, Block 115, of El Jardín re-subdivision located near GM 511 Charmaine Road.
Honorable Mayor,
That would be FM.
Honorable Mayor, City Commissioners, this is the area shaded in red on 511. The applicant would like to have a store at this location. Plan and Zoning Commission voted unanimously to approve this application for your approval. Public hearing.
Any public comment? I entertain a motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Action item.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 11, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 235-2012-022-S to allow a medium retail classification in a professional office classification for Lot 1, Block 1 of Land O'Lake Professional Office located at 56 East Bryce Road.
Honorable Mayor and City Commission, this is a doctor's office. They are expanding adding a new wing to their clinic. The Plan and Zoning Commission voted unanimously to approve this application.
Is that the community health center?
No,
No?
no, this is a private physician's office. It's in that medical plaza on Dino Lakes Professional Plaza. He does have his office there, but he's adding a new wing.
Yeah, that's very exciting. That's a very good doctor's office. Motion to close public hearing?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Action item.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 12, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 235-2012-024-S to allow a medium commercial classification on a general retail classification for Lot 1 of Block 1 of Paseo Amusement subdivision located at 5 Event Center Drive.
Honorable Mayor and City Commissioners, this area shaded in red, as you may know, is a playground. It's closed. The applicant would like to open the facility again, but this is not as a playground area, but it's more of an event center. It'll have the weddings, etc.
Where is this then?
This is right by our event center, the playground where they used to have miniature golf, go-karts. And in this case, they're only rezoning or specific use for the building itself. Okay, right by the tennis courts and all that playground area.
Over
right
on
there.
that side,
Yes.
not the playground by the Resaca where they have kids fish.
No,
not
no,
that.
no,
Okay.
the privately owned by, closer to Paredes. So the Planning and Zoning Commission voted unanimously to approve this application. There's a public.
Any comment? Public hearing. Entertain a motion to close.
Move to close public hearing. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Action item.
Would approve?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 13, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 235-2012-025-S to allow a duplex in a dwelling classification for Lot 1 of Block 4 of El Lago subdivision located at 6901 El Lago Drive.
Mayor and City Commissioner, that's the lot shaded in red. In this case, the applicant would like to have a duplex or convert this home into a duplex. Plan and Zoning Commission voted to approve this application.
Are there any other duplexes in that neighborhood?
There are some scattered throughout the neighborhood. Unfortunately, some of those have happened without getting the proper zoning, but they are in existence.
Okay, so nobody has opposed
Nobody
making it a
opposed this
duplex?
application.
And what is it that we can do about the people that have made their homes a duplex that did not file for permits?
Well, Commissioner, to that, maybe to some code enforcement, if they come back and ask for modifications to the buildings, then we can work with them in that respect to get the proper zone.
Wow. Well, I guess I commend them for filing for a permit. Okay. Motion to close public hearing?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Action item.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 14, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 235-2012-026-S to allow apartments in a general retail classification for Lot 7 of Block 142 of original town site subdivision located at 925 East Monroe Street.
Honorable Mayor and City Commission, in this case, the applicant is seeking approval of a zoning application for 4 apartments in the area shaded in red, is right north, in the Buena Vida neighborhood, right north of downtown. The Plan and Zoning Commission voted unanimously to approve this application, so it's a vacant lot, and I think will be improvement to the neighborhood. For the public hearing.
Move to close.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Action item.
Move to approve.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries.
Item 15, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 2012-1557 to consent the issuance of a water supply contract revenue refunding bonds by Southmost Regional Water Authority and authorizing the City of Brownsville, Texas Public Utilities Board and the Southmost Regional Water Authority to take all action necessary related to the issuance of the water supply contract revenue refunding bonds, including the amendment of the water supply contracts and other matters in connection therewith.
This is another one. Hi, Noe Hinojosa for the record again, financial advisor to the Southmost Regional Water Authority. This is a little easier. I'll just take you over to page 7 real quick. And here basically what we're doing, because of the market, how well it's doing out there for us, we will take out the Series 2002 bonds that the authority has issued back in '02. If you look at the second column, rates there go from 4% down to 5%. And we will replace those rates, hopefully, with the second column from right to left, with rates that now, for example, if you buy a municipal bond in 2013, instead of getting a 4% yield, as is reflected in the second column, you'll pay 0.95%. That's how low the rates are. So in essence, the rate differential, which is in the last column, ranges from 3.05 percentage points in the front end to 157. We're only taking out $14,990,000 because that's the only bonds that we can actually pull out or extract in exchange for lower interest rates. At the end of the day, when you turn the page on page 8, you'll see that currently the Series 2002 have annual payments in 2013 of $1,383,000 down to $1,527,000 in the year 2027. We will replace those with the third column with $1,245,000 down to $1,386,000. So in essence, you're getting savings, this authority is getting savings of $2,120,000. That's what's being brought to you. The last month of July, we've gone to your partners, Indian Lake, Brownsville Navigation District, Valley Mud Number 2, City of Los Fresnos, and they've already approved this ordinance or this plan. It's all about swapping rates so you can get some savings for the authority that you own, about 93% of it. So in essence, tonight you do have a hearing and an ordinance to be approved, unlike the previous item that I spoke to you earlier on. So our recommendation for you is to contemplate and give us the consent so that hopefully, again, on or about September the 25th, we will sell the bonds officially. Any questions?
Commissioners have any questions?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Well, actually, it's motion to close
Oh,
public
I'm
hearing.
sorry, motion to close public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mayor.
Noe.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Item 16, public hearing to discuss the city's proposed fiscal year 2013 budget.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Commission, this is one of 5 schedule public hearings on our budget, this being the first. I would ask either one of you at the end of this public hearing, if we could someone could make a motion to continue this hearing for next week, because we are going to continue, which will, in other words, will be on August the 14th.
You're on item number 16, right?
I'm on item number 16, Mayor. It is a public hearing. Again, after the public hearing, if one of you could just make a motion to continue the hearing for next week, which is August the 14th. We just completed the tax rate calculations, the ad valorem tax calculations. Up here we have what we call in this case, it's the effective tax rate of 68.9621, which is less than the current rate that we have right now. The current rate that we have right now is 70.0613. If the City Commission plans to adopt a rate above the effective rate, we must have public hearings. And obviously, our recommendation is for the City Commission, when the time comes, which will be in September the 17th, to at least approve the current rate, which is 70.0613. Later on, in other item, I'll explain to you how that calculation came about. This particular schedule shows three rates: the effective tax rate of 68.9621. The next one is the current rate of 70.0613. And then the last one is 72.1129, which is the rollback rate, which would increase from the effective tax rate to the rollback rate of 4.57, and from the current rate that we have right now to a 2.93%. This schedule here shows the general fund, the proposed budget for 2013, which is on the second column. And as you can see, the increase in property taxes as a result, by using the effective rate of 68.9621, would generate $1,212,535.99. And the reason why we show an increase right now is because we did have excess funds in our debt service fund of about $3 million. We're going to, instead of sending all the money to the debt service fund, we're going to see if we can transfer less into debt service and give that money back to the general fund. And that's the reason why you see an increase there in our general fund. Right now, if the City Commission would to adopt the budget with a tax rate of 68 cents, 68.9621, we would have a deficit of $1,274,301, meaning expenditures would exceed revenues by that amount using that rate. If we go to the current rate that we have right now of 70.0613, that deficit is reduced to $731,024. And by deficit, I mean the revenues for 2013 and the expenditures for 2014. There is a carryover, a reserve in our fund balance. And if we go with the 72.1129, which is the rollback rate, then we have a surplus of funds of $281,703. That if we were to go with the rollback rate of 72.1129. The bonds that are due next fiscal year, if you look at 2013 and 2014, there is an increase in 2014 from $14,796,000 to $15,266,000. So that's something that we would look forward to when we get to the 2014. And right now, the debt for the city is $149,780, but $8.9 million is self-supporting from various, the Paseo de la Resaca, Linear Park, the PCIC, and the airport GBIC contribution. So in reality, our debt service, our tax rate only pays for $140,880,000. Our debt service fund, as I mentioned to you earlier, we expect to have a fund balance at the end of this fiscal year close to $3.2 million. So we decided to go ahead, instead of putting all the money into debt service, we'll use $1 million and put that into general fund to ease the pressure on the general fund. And this is the 2013, again, based on the 70 cents, and this is based on 72 cents. The convention, before I move forward, the budget there was a request made by that's not included in the budget, from the Brownsville Museum of Fine Arts. They were here a few weeks ago asking for additional funds. They've requested an additional $150,000 to come out of the general fund. $76,000 would be for mortgage assistance, and $74,000 would be staffing and operations. That's a request that has been made to us, but it's not part of the budget right now. The Convention and Tourism Fund, which includes the hotel motel tax, we show towards the end of the year $31,000. We are allocating the same amount that we were allocating each agency for the last few years, and they're listed in that particular schedule. As we move forward, we've got community development. This is all federal monies. All monies have already been allocated for various projects. The landfill tipping fee, we expect to have a surplus between 2013 of $517,000. Overall, $597,000 at the end of the year. So this is a balanced budget. Airport would require a transfer, like it requires every year from the general fund. In this case, a little over $1 million as a subsidy from the general fund. And then you have the bridge fund. All the money that's generated from the bridge fund goes into general fund. The motor vehicle parking system fund, a slight deficit of $6,000. Public transit, obviously it needs, they will be getting their federal monies that we thought maybe we were going to be losing. It's going to stay in place. We expect $2,072,000. Our general fund transfer would be $864,884, which is listed at the very bottom. And then you have the Brownsville Golf Center. It's almost even between revenues and expenses, $153 plus. And we will have more information for you as we go on August the 14th. We'll probably give you a booklet, a book of all the, maybe a detailed budget of all the expenses, all the revenues that will be collected. I also have for distribution tonight, you can help me? It's a detail, this is revenues. That's the revenues, no, that's the expenditures. These are the expenditures.
Thank you.
You also have a list of all the requests that were made that were not part of the fund, of the budget, which were all the capital requests that were handed out earlier, and new positions that were requested that are not part of the budget. As far as capital, just to review, $15,518,000 that has been requested from various funds, $15,518,000 that's not in the budget, unless it's funded through the issuance of COs. And you also have personnel requests, new positions, $2.6 $6 million that are, again, not part of the budget. Every year, the departments request capital and new positions that, because of the tight budget, they are not funded. We will probably be looking at maybe list purchases for capital projects or capital assets, or maybe the issuance of COs to fund some of this much-needed equipment that we have. Again, this is just a public hearing. This is the first one of 5 that we plan to have in the coming weeks.
Pete, do we have anything for maintenance on the DCVB building? Because I know their roof is in horrible shape.
No, there has not been, no. The answer is no. Again, we can all consider some of these additions as we move along in the coming weeks.
Yeah, I think, Commissioner, this is the time, there's something in the consideration that you wish the budget process to address. This would be a good time. You've got 5 public hearings. Anyone else?
Mayor, once again, I'll just get on my hurricane soapbox.
I know.
Just to, I mean, remind everybody that we do need to have our reserves, because we are an area that is, we haven't gotten hit since '68, a direct hit, but we are always susceptible, and we do need to be prepared. Just in case we ever do get hit, our reserves need to be intact, so just in case we ever do get hit, we will be prepared.
Yeah, that's correct, Commissioner. Our last hurricane that hit Brownsville, we had a $2 million cost.
That was just a light, yeah.
But we only got reimbursed for $1 million, so the general fund had to pick up the $1 million, so.
Okay. So at this particular point, then we would entertain a motion to continue the public hearing for the next meeting. So I'll entertain that motion.
Okay. Motion.
Mayor, I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. It will be continued till next week, and I want to make sure that while everybody's here, that during the budget process, we have regular meetings that we have every other week, and we have special meetings. The meeting for next week will be a special meeting. So if...
For budget.
Huh?
For budget.
For budget. And so therefore, any item that we talked about earlier that would go under public consideration, it will be for the regular meeting on the 14th.
21st.
Okay? And just so you know, I will, unfortunately, I overlooked the calendar. I will not be here next week. I'm going to be with the Brownsville Economic Development Group on a economic development tour with Mr. Hiltz, et cetera. So, just so you know, I failed to pick up the special meeting on my calendar. Anyway, next item is number 17.
Mayor,
Yeah,
the special meeting is on the 14th, the regular meeting is on the 21st.
on the 21st. I'm sorry, forgive me. Correct the record. Special meeting on the 14th, regular meeting on August the 21st.
Yes, sir.
Stephanie, I think it's your turn. Thank you, Pete.
Item 17, public hearing and action to modify the draft City of Brownsville one-year action plan for the 38th fiscal year Community Development Block Grant Program CDBG funding.
Mayor, Commissioners, I'm here today to present a few modifications to the draft one-year action plan that was recently available. The comment period ended yesterday, as a matter of fact, but it was recently approved on July 3rd by you guys, and additional funding became available, and I wanted to make sure that we did go ahead and include that in our one-year action plan. If not, we would have to wait and then initiate the substantial amendment process. So to avoid all of that, I wanted to make sure that we got it in there. In addition to that, we had some other items, for example, the purchase of vehicles that, according to HUD regulations, had to be included in this action plan. If not, we couldn't do that. So I'll go through them very quickly, but everything in gray was previously approved, and I want to note that we did not make any changes or deductions or reductions to any of the approved items. Everything in orange is either new or increased. So in the approved plan that you had, we did not have homeowner rehab. During HUD's recent monitoring visit, we took them for a cruise around the city, and they said that they can definitely identify the need for rehab and expected to see it in there. So thankfully, funds became available, and so we included it in there. In addition to that, we are increasing it was called our down payment assistance program. We're now calling it our home buyer assistance program, and making some changes to that. simply because it's not only down payment assistance, we assist them with the gap to get into their home. And so we've also eliminated the tiers, and we're basing the program specifically on need. In addition to that, we added a new program. It's a pilot program. It's called the First Time Home Buyer Financing. This will be done in-house. The pilot is 5 homes. This program pretty much consists of a low-income family coming in, providing all the documentation. We take care of the mortgage financing. We review their credit report. We do not factor in their credit score. To compensate for that, we ask that they complete 3 hours of community service specific to downtown Brownsville revitalization. We've already met with Building a Better Block, or Build a Better Block, and since those take place the 3rd Saturday of every month, we do have committed hours for each of these families that come in. They have to do 300 hours, but because they're low income, some of them carry 2, sometimes 3 jobs, and so they may not have the opportunity to complete all those hours within the closing time, 3 to 4 months. So we're allowing them to bring friends and family to help them rack up those hours. Further down, the Portway Acres was approved prior, but we had to, due to budget constraints, we had to reduce the amount. And now that funding has become available, we are funding the entire project. So all those park improvements, I know you'd be happy about that one.
Yay, thank
So we
you.
did increase that by $88,300, and now the entire project will be funded, including trails and benches and the whole thing. Very nice. In addition to that, since the recent transition, I've been doing an inventory of some of our programs, figuring out what works, what doesn't work, trying to figure out if there's any additional fundings to reallocate. And in doing so, I found 3 of them that I would like to eliminate, which is the TBRA, which wasn't touched, the homes for veterans, I believe only 1 home was done, and the reconstruction for 2 homes, Norman Lane and Midway. We have recently made payment back to HUD, so that we've reallocated those funds. In addition to that, administrative changes. Again, in order to purchase and replace vehicles, it had to be in the action plan, so we're adding that in there. Now, a little background about these changes. In desperately trying to get this in the action plan, I consulted with HUD and I said, are we able to make changes during this period? Because we're now in the comment period. And he said, well, is it a draft? And I said, yes, sir, it is, and clearly stated on the document available to the public. He said, so long as your citizen participation plan doesn't say you can't, then feel free to do so. So I looked at our citizen participation plan, and there is no provision saying whether we can or can't. So I got with our legal department and we developed one. And that is included in the next slide here, if you'll. Basically, I added the provision saying, yes, it's a draft phase. It's in the draft phase, and the public is well aware of that. But I think it's fair that if we are going to make any budget changes, that I go to the committee for their recommendation. I come to the commission for their approval, and as a courtesy, I extend the comment period, which is what I'm doing today. The comment period ended yesterday, but I'm extending it an additional week after today. But here, I'll skip to this one. In addition to the amending the citizen participation plan, we've been having an issue with the composition of our committee. On average, the people who attend on a regular basis is 7 when there's a committee of 15. So we went ahead and, again, I consulted with HUD to make sure this can be done, and so we have made the committee smaller. It will now comprise of 9 members, 5 a quorum. The mayor will still continue to appoint 3, and every other commissioner, including at-large commissioners, will appoint 1, which I'd like to throw in there that we need to go ahead and try to appoint some additional members. We haven't had much of a response lately. And so those changes were made. The committee recommends this, they strongly recommend this because attendance was poor. And so I think this might help that. If we scroll a little bit further, I'd just like to go into just some of the items that I added in the provision. Basically, I said this. Changes can be made to the 1-year action plan during the drafting stage, which is also the 30-day public comment period, anytime there is one of 3. A change in one of the priorities presented on the HUD required priority table. And number 2, creation or deletion of an activity. In this case, a change in the use of CDBG funding for one activity to another of $50,000 or more. The same applies for home. In addition to an activity of $50,000 or more, and an elimination of an activity of 50,000 or more. So that's the threshold that we assign there. Or a change in the purpose, location, scope, or beneficiaries of an activity. So again, we've extended the comment period. All the changes that we made were either an increase to a currently approved, already approved project, and also elimination of projects that didn't seem to be working, and we wanted to reallocate to other projects of need. This is a public hearing.
Any comments, commissioners?
Of appointments by the commission, was that changed also?
Yes. Well, the mayor still has 3, and at-large had 2, and we've eliminated that to 1. So every commissioner has 1, mayor has 3.
Anything from the public? Oh,
Say thank you for the Portway Acres.
I do want to add that when HUD came down and we took them for a little visit around town, I let them know that that was a proposed area. I showed them the area, and they were quite fond of the idea, so.
Thank you, I appreciate that. It's been a very long struggle, but it's something that I intend to.
okay.
Thank you for your help.
I'll entertain a motion to close public hearing.
Motion to close. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now I'll take an action item.
To approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Go forth. Okay. Public comment would be next. Thank you very much, Judge, in spite of what everybody else says.
Item 19. Item 19, consideration and action to confirm the city manager's recommended appointment for police chief for the city of Brownsville.
Let me present the popular chief of the City of Brownsville.
Yeah, no kidding.
Commission. As you were present at the Cueta building, we announced the appointment of Chief Orlando Rodriguez. We are presenting him to the mayor and our commission, our audience, and we are recommending that you confirm his appointment to this position.
I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the recommendation.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved unanimously. Thank you very much. Item number 20, please.
Item 20, consideration and action to approve the emergency response Sister Cities Plan between the cities of Brownsville, Texas and Matamoros, Tamaulipas, and the city of Brownsville, Texas and Vallehermoso, Tamaulipas.
Honorable Mayor, City Commissioners, in front of you, you've got a copy of the Brownsville, Matamoros, Vallehermoso cross-border contingency plan. To give you a little background, on May the 6th of 1997, the city of Brownsville signed the first Sister Cities Plan for cross-border response of emergency responders during hazardous materials incidents. I'll inform you, this is not the standard sister city agreement that you have between cities as it relates to educational or cultural issues, but this is a cross-border contingency plan for response during disasters. This plan was revised in 2002, and with your approval, we will revise it again tonight. To give you some background, when this plan was originally signed back in 1997, this was the first sister city plan along the U.S.-Mexico border. Today, there are 14 sister city plans that connect 28 cities along the United States-Mexico border. And to one extent or another, all of these plans are based on the plan that was originally signed here in Brownsville, Texas. A little over a year ago, the city of Brownsville received a grant from the U.S. EPA to update this plan, and tonight you have the result in front of you there. This grant covered training both in the United States and Mexico, as well as a binational exercise in which the plan itself was exercised. Mr. David Hanawa is here in the audience, who was the contractor who worked with the city on revising the plan. In a nutshell, this plan provides a framework for which any of the three cities can request assistance from a member city on the other side of the border during times of disaster or emergency, and it provides for rapid and orderly movement of these responders across the border. There is no conflict between this existing plan and any national, state, regional, or local plans on either side of the border. Participation in this plan is voluntary on a day-to-day basis. As emergencies take place, if responders are tied up responding to incidents on their own side of the border, obviously that becomes priority. If there are security concerns, etc., cities have the option to respond or not respond, and that's completely acceptable to all three of the cities that are participating. The major revisions to the plan that are in front of you include, obviously, the inclusion of Vallehermoso. They specifically requested that they be allowed to participate. Brownsville and Matamoros have no problem with that whatsoever. While we initially had looked to other cities here in Cameron County to participate on the U.S. side, to make a long story short, in the state of Texas, we have statewide mutual aid agreements across the board. And so any other cities really within the entire state of Texas that needed to cooperate with us to respond into Mexico can currently do so through the existing statewide mutual aid system. In addition to that, this revision seeks to expand the potential resources that could cross the border during an emergency from just fire, EMS, and hazardous materials to also now include areas such as public health, public works, and utilities. And to make a long story short, it's just an attempt to add one more tool to the toolbox during times of disaster. Emergency management staff is recommending that you approve this document tonight, with the understanding that this will take effect when signed by all three cities. And in addition, we're currently planning a formal signing ceremony to take place sometime either in late September or early October, when we will have the two mayors from the Mexican side of the border here in the United States to receive some equipment from the United States EPA, and we'd like to get all three mayors together at that time for a formal ceremony. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Have we ever had to use this before?
Yes, ma'am. To the best of my knowledge, this is actually the most used plan that exists on the U.S.-Mexico border. I was talking to the fire chief earlier today that he remembers at least 10 times that we have utilized this plan. The most recent one is probably been less than a year ago when we had a fire at one of the landfills in Matamoros, and Brownsville Fire Department and EMS were requested to respond there. We have responded quickly when requested by Matamoros multiple times in the past and are more than happy to do so in the future.
Entertain a motion?
I'm sorry, the bureaucratic red tape is done and all that stuff.
The goal of the plan is to have a way that we can quickly move the responders across the border so that there's not hours and hours of red tape and questions back and forth. The goal of the plan is to have responders arrive at the border, fill out some basic paperwork or simply sign off on some paperwork that's already there waiting for them, and then quickly move across the border. Typically, the wait at the bridge when we respond over is at the most 10 to 15 minutes, at the most.
Do they, I'm sorry, I missed that part. If we needed them, would they come this way?
Yes, it is a two-way street.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Motion to approve?
Just a second, Brad, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I was blessed to go with the former mayor to a ceremony over there where they honored our fire department, our former mayor and the fire chief, and they really did appreciate our response. And so I just want you all to know it's appreciated over there. So.
Okay, thank you, Brad. I hear a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Great.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Jeff. Item number 21.
Item 21, consideration and action to acknowledge the Cameron Appraisal District Chief Appraiser's certification of the City of Brownsville's 2012 tax roll.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Commission, this is an item that we normally we request for you to acknowledge the tax roll for the year coming up. We had a growth of about 3.5%, and obviously we're requesting that you acknowledge this from the Chief Appraiser of Cameron Appraisal District.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 22.
Item 22, consideration and action to acknowledge the Chief Financial Officer's certification of the estimated ad valorem tax collection rate for tax year 2012 and the excess debt tax collections for tax year 2011.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Commission, this is another item that is actually part of the worksheet when we calculate the effective tax rate and rollback rate. And all of this is just saying that we have a collection rate of 100% and an excess collections of 0. Just to acknowledge that as we move forward.
Do I hear a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 23, consideration and action to acknowledge the Chief Financial Officer's calculation of the city's effective rollback ad valorem tax rates for tax year 2012 or fiscal year 2013.
I need the PowerPoint. I think we had it there before. Yes. That way. Thank you. I'm going to go rapidly. I'd like to go over how this is calculated. There is a worksheet on the agenda item that comes from it's here. Now I can just go ahead and very briefly go over it through a PowerPoint presentation, if I may. And again, we just certified the excess collections of 0 and 100% collections. That's part of it. I'm going to go move fast as I can. Again, this is truth in taxation, which is set up by the Texas Constitution to have an effective tax rate. There's 2 rates, the effective tax rate and a rollback rate. Generally, we have to determine the effective rate and the rollback rate, and then we decide how much revenue we need, and calculate the tax rate that's required to raise the amount that is needed, and then we also publish notices. All of this is dictated by law. We are required to hold 2 public hearings if we adopt a tax rate that's above the effective tax rate. Now these are some of the principles that are in truth in taxation regarding the rights of property owners. Again, the effective tax rate is calculated rate that will provide the taxing entity with about the same amount of revenue it received the prior year on property tax on both years. And again, I'm going to go very rapidly here. to calculate the effective tax. I'll go ahead and explain to you how the effective tax rate is calculated. All we do is here is, and I have arrows pointing to prove that the adjusted tax levy, which in this case was $34,741,810, divided by the adjusted taxable values of $5,037,805,158, will give you a rate of 6896,219, which is the effective tax rate. You multiply that rate times the adjustable taxable values of $5,037,805,158 will equal the $34,741,810. And that's the idea here, that you have to come up with a rate that will generate the same revenues from the previous year. The rollback rate has two components. It's got the M&O, or day-to-day operation expenditures, and the debt. The M&O portion can be raised 8%. The debt rate is just to pay off your debt. And again, this is another calculation regarding the rollback rate. You take the adjusted values, you add the additional sales tax, you take the you also include the taxes that were refunded during the year, the taxes that were refunded, and then you also have the 28G is the taxes that go into the tax increment fund, and you come up with a rate of 5827.39. Multiply that times 8%, you get 6293.58. That's the rollback rate, M&O. And then you have the debt service rate of we have our debt service of $12,949,453, and you come up with a rate of 25 cents. That's the debt service rate of 25 cents. You add the 25 cents plus the 62 cents, you get the 88 cents. Of course, that would be our rate if we did not have sales tax that was authorized by the voters way back in 91. In 91, we went to the voters and we received an additional penny of sales tax, and half of that was to reduce property taxes. So this is where this portion comes in. We are, because of the sales tax that we got way back then, we are reducing the rollback rate of 88 cents to 72 cents, and this is the way the calculation is made.
Yeah.
I went a little bit quick, but I just for the time element, that's the reason why I went so fast.
I remember going with my mom to vote for that 1 cent increase. She was for it.
Entertain a motion on item number 23. Yeah.
Motion to acknowledge.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Aye.
24, Pete.
Item 24, consideration and action to acknowledge the Deputy City Manager's CFO financial statements and cash investment report for the City of Brownsville for the third quarter, ending June the 30th, 2012.
This is the third quarter ended June 30th of our financials. Some of the positive things that we see right now, the sales tax are up 3.39% over the same period as last year. We're about 0.58% above the latest amended budget. We also have good news from the PUB. It looks like we're going to we will adjust our budget by $100,000 based on the latest numbers that we have had from the PUB, where we will be getting more in cash transfer, and we also see revenues increases in our bridge. Obviously, there's concerns with grants. There's the unstable oil and gas prices. We don't know. These are all areas of concern, of course. Unemployment rate is still high, 11.2. It was 6.1 in 2007. And again, we want to make sure that we at least maintain our unassigned fund balance of at least 15% in reserves. And right now, we are not at that point yet. So that's a concern that we have. Again, sales tax. This gives you a breakdown by month for fiscal year 2012, and we're at 3.39% above last year, or 0.58% above budget. Sales tax, it looks like 2012, we're going to be very close to the 2008. We anticipate of exceeding the 2008 numbers in 2013. Again, this is the unemployment rates for various You can see to 06, 07, 08, we were below, we were actually a single digit. Those were the very good years that we had as far as unemployment. And this gives you another schedule of the unemployment by labor force, number employed, number of unemployed, and unemployed rate, and it's by month. And for the year, fiscal years, or calendar year rather, it's we're at 11.2%. Bridge, again, very favorable. We have increases of 34% above last year. As far as budget, we're above 28%. Again, our best years was in 06. 2012 looks promising. Building permits are not as good as in the past. We're still below. We're at almost 19.6% for the same period as last year as far as building permits. Property rolls are steady. No debt was issued in 2011. We anticipate, actually 2009 and 2010, we anticipate issuing debt in 2013, but not in 2012. Again, this is the debt that the city has. This is a good chart. It tells you how much of property taxes go to the general fund and what goes to the debt service fund. The blue is general fund, and debt service fund is in the red. And we've been actually putting more money into the general fund from the property tax rate in the last few years. Again, fund balance last year, we dip into our reserve by 880,000. We're at, and then again, we anticipate by the end of the year we'll have 11.2 million of unassigned fund balance in the general fund. These are the revenues for the period ended June 30th, or 9 months. We had collected 82%. The majority of the revenues that have been collected are in property taxes. As we all know, the majority of property taxes are collected between October and January. After that, it's a slower percentage. So far, based on budget, we're at 99% in property tax. If you combine all the revenues, we're at 82.28. We are supposed to be at 75% through 9 months. Expenditures, a little over 70. We're within low. 75% is the max. We're at 73%. As we move forward, this or again, about 2 years ago, we were required to identify the fund balances as non-spendable, restricted, committed, assigned. Unassigned, obviously, is the free money that has not been assigned to any project, and that's what we, when we do it, when we look at percentages in reserves, that's the number we always look at. General fund balance sheet had undesignated or unassigned fund balance of 16 million at the end of June. And these are the categories. The committed 3.8 million, and that's for the plastic bag fee fund is. These are the plastic bag fee remittance so far through the end of June, 774,629. That's committed for obviously certain projects like cleanup, et cetera, et cetera. This is the fund balance based on what we have right now. At the end of the year, we'll have 11.55 in reserves. There are some budget amendments coming up later on, which will increase that fund balance. And this is what I'm speaking of. We are going to have a revenue increase to the POB cash transfer of 800,000, but we also have budget amendments coming up later of 483,150, which increases our fund balance by 316,850. So we'll end the year, we'll have a percentage increase of 12.03%. We want to be at the 50% based on the fund balance policy. As we move forward, this is the convention in tourism. We have not made a budget transfer from the general fund, So that's the reason why we show a deficit of 41,984. Community development's all federal money. Non-bonded debt, 60,000. The debt service fund, that number right now shows 5.9 million. We do have a payment coming up on August the 15th, so we anticipate that our fund balance will be close to 3.5 once the year ends in September. Streetscape, 396,182. Landfill tip and fee, 1,221,225. They're all healthy. Airport shows a deficit of 356,607. Bridge, doing well. Motor vehicle parking system, okay. Public transit, we have a share from the federal government of 1,051,780. At Brownsville Golf Center, 56,597 under. Then you have various era grants that were almost ending up closing. And then you have the medical insurance fund at the end of June. We had a balance of 1,745,915. And then we have the investments that the city had a year ago versus the investments that we have this year. And that concludes my presentation.
Would acknowledge.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Number 25.
Number 25, consideration and action to adopt budget amendment resolution number 2012-046 to amend the budgets of the general fund in order to provide funding for various accounts and to increase the cash transfer for the public transit fund.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Commission, these are budget amendments. As I mentioned earlier, the PUB cash transfer, we're increasing it by 100,000. We have a budget of 6,165,000. More than likely, by the end of the year, we'll have 7,047,000. So that's the reason why we have an increase of 100,000 as far in the budget, in the revenue side. And we also have budget amendments for various expenditures, like the paving markings for the 25,000 that we needed. And then we have the chiller project for the City Hall of 155,500. That's to cover the local share and various other small items. We also have a transfer to the transit system of 187,000. So we're asking for you to approve a revenue budget amendment of 800,000 this evening and expenditures of 483,150. After all these budget amendments are made, we'll have a surplus, actually a percentage in reserves of 12.03%. Again, request that the items be approved.
This is an action item.
Would approve. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Item number 26.
Item 26, consideration and action to adopt reimbursement resolution number 2012-048, expressing official intent to reimburse with tax-exempt obligation proceeds for costs associated with purchasing land and a building in the downtown area.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Commission, I'd like to just summarize of some of the reimbursements resolution that has been approved in the past and the reimbursement resolution that we are asking for you to adopt this evening. We had, in the past, we've had two reimbursement resolutions, the 2012-033 for the West Rail relocation project of $2 million, and then the 040 that was adopted on July 3rd, $3 million for the dome at the library, and also for the local share for the hangar facility at the airport. So far to date, we had 6.1 million. This evening, we're asking you to approve or adopt a reimbursement resolution to finance the purchase of a downtown building located at 1304 East Adams for future city offices, 3.2 million. After all, if you approve this tonight, we will be issuing certificates of obligation close to 8.4 million. And this will probably be issued during fiscal year 2013.
Pete, when you went back, go back one slide or whatever, that's 3.2, it's 2.3, no?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mayor, you're right. It's typo.
Okay. No, not that, what's a million?
No, it's 2.3, it's correct.
No, make sure that we get that right. And then the other thing is, on the $2 million that we financed a portion of the West Rail relocation project, we have not come to an agreement on that on that score yet, have we?
No,
We're just
sir.
asking to approve this amount of money, subject to make sure that it's there for the spending should we come to agreements. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay.
Yes, and it's correct. It's 2.3, not 3.2.
Okay. Not that I was paying attention, but, you know. Anyway, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve?
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Pete.
I'm a nay.
And one nay.
Item 27, consideration and action on resolution number 2012-045, to authorize the filing of a grant application and the execution of grant agreements with the Texas Department of Transportation for fiscal year 2013 for elderly individuals and individuals with disabilities program funds.
Good evening. TxDOT has released the fiscal year 2013 application for the elderly individuals and individuals with disability program, also known as Section 5310. The Federal Transit Administration apportions the funds appropriated annually to the state based on an administrative formula. Brownsville Metro is requesting a total of $244,000 for the replacement of 2 of our paratransit vans at a cost of $144,000 for both and $100,000 for preventative maintenance. We will also be applying for TDC, which are called Transportation Development Credits, which can be utilized as local match. If we are successful with the award, there will be no requirement for local match. However, if we're not successful with the award of the TDCs, then the city's minimum requirement for these funds as local match would be $44,480. The total project cost is $288,400. Brownsville Metro is requesting authorization from the City Commission for the city manager to file a grant application with the Texas Department of Transportation and to execute and award the grant agreement if successful.
Motion to approve?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Norman.
Item 28, consideration and action to authorize the city manager to execute a memorandum of understanding between the City of Brownsville and Texas Southmost College to provide transportation services through the Job Access and Reverse Commute Program.
This again is a request to continue the services with the university, with TSC and UTB. Brownsville Metro provides 2 routes, Route 14 and Route 15. Route 14 provides connects the International Technology Education and Commerce building, or the ITech building, and the Fort Brown campus of TSC and UTB. And Route 15 is the circulator route that enhances accessibility and mobility within the campus itself. The services continue to be successful, and TSC would again like to renew its agreement for 1 more year. Brownsville Metro is requesting authorization for the city manager to execute the new agreement to provide public transit services for 1 more year and receive the funding from TSC for the services. So this services is basically being funded from the JARC program, the federal share, and the local share is the universities providing that for an amount of $91,800. The amount the university will be providing is $91,083.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 29, consideration and action to authorize the City of Brownsville to enter into a contract with the Town of Rancho Viejo to furnish firefighting services.
Honorable Mayor, Commissioners, before you have a contract by the City of Rancho Viejo and ourselves for a yearly amount of $29,500 for the next 3 years for us to provide fire service for their town should they need our help. So it's for your approval.
Okay.
Motion to approve?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
To let you know, this is a $2,000 increase per year from the previous contract that we had.
Thank you, lady.
Thank you.
Item 30, consideration and action on resolution number 2012-048 to authorize city manager to accept grant number LBSP-12-0028 for the Local Border Security Program fiscal year 2012 from the Texas Department of Public Safety, Texas Ranger Division, in the amount of $120,000.
Honorable Mayor and City Commissioner, we ask that you approve this grant, which will help cover the costs associated with various operations such as bridge interdiction, actually bus terminal activities also, and violent crime investigations. This grant through the Department of Public Safety.
Approve. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Chief.
Item 31, consideration and action on resolution number 2012-044 to authorize city manager to accept grant number SA-T01-10041-13 from the Auto Burglary and Theft Prevention Authority for the South Texas Auto Theft Enforcement Task Force project for fiscal year 2012-2013 in the amount of $1,043,336.
Also, Honorable Mayor and City Commission, we ask that you review this grant that's been in place since 1993 for the Auto Theft and Prevention Authority for different operations involved associated with auto theft and burglaries, to include education and enforcement efforts along the two county areas with Cameron and Hidalgo County.
Approve. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Item 32, consideration and action on resolution number 2012-047 to support the University of Texas Brownsville Downtown Initiative and dealing with related matters.
Honorable Mayor and City Commission, through this resolution, I'd like to show the support for a downtown urban campus. Over the last 2 weeks, there was tons of work being done by BC Workshop, CDCB, and the City of Brownsville staff to put together a charrette to show a visioning for a downtown campus. So this resolution not only supports the UTV as an urban campus, but also to support the needs of Texas Southmost College with their building needs in the downtown area. So during the charrette, there was well attended by community members, but also professionals from around the country that came down to Brownsville, and really appreciate the mayor for getting these people to Brownsville in short notice, to come and share with us their knowledge and their input of how to get this project done. So I really ask for your support in this resolution.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I just want to add that I've talked to a lot of UTV students who are very, very grateful for all of the work that you're doing there. It makes a big, big impact on the community, and we thank you and we appreciate it.
Well, they deserve it. Okay, item number 33.
Item 33, consideration and action to award a contract for geotechnical and construction material testing services for the City of Brownsville Park and Garage.
Good evening. On June the 4th, 2012, the Evaluation Review Committee, along with the Purchasing Department, proceeded to meet with highest ranking firms and requested a best and final offer. After reviewing the best and final offer, negotiations ensued till a final agreement was finalized and accepted by the committee on July the 20th, 2012. Staff recommendation is as follows. Consideration and action to award contract for geotechnical and construction material testing services for the City of Brownsville's parking garage, La Plaza, for $87,000 to Terracon of Parr, Texas, the highest ranked firm. The recommended firm will serve in the capacity of evaluating the pertinent geotechnical conditions at the site and develop geotechnical parameters which will assist in the design and construction of the new parking garage. Funds for these services will be derived from federal grants, a local match, and a BEDC loan.
Would approve. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
I just had,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I did have a question. It seems to me there was something in my mind in the past about some issue or problem that we had with Terracon.
Okay. Issue with Terracon?
But, I mean,
You want to table?
I,
Can we table?
You know, if you would, we'll consider a motion to table if you'd like. You might want to give us a little bit of background on Terracon, and I need to exclude myself because I probably have had some experience with them.
Okay. A specific background to, on the company itself, or?
Yeah, I think so. I think just a little bit of share some information about the company, and if that makes the commission feel better, we could take the motion off or get a motion to table. Or if we put the motion to vote and it doesn't pass, then we'll have to have a motion to table.
Okay.
Okay,
Nay?
the motion is on the floor in a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay?
Nay.
Okay, motion fails. I'll entertain a motion to table.
Motion to table?
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. We'll table it, and just give the commissioners a level of comfort, if you would. All right?
Okay, that, I
Thank
mean,
you.
and it's just on the company itself, right?
Terracon, please.
Okay. Do we want to bring this one at the next meeting?
Yeah,
At
if
the
you'd
The
like.
14th?
regular meeting? The regular meeting?
Or the special meeting?
The regular meeting, if unless you're in a great big hurry. Andy? Andrew?
Okay.
Okay, just
The
get a little
margin
bit of...
Okay, for the
Very low.
21st.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Number 34?
Item 34, consideration and action to award a contract for street paving and drainage improvements for West Jefferson Street.
Honor Mayor, Commissioners, good evening. This item before you is to award a contract to Peterson Construction for the improvements of Jefferson from Palm Boulevard to Central Boulevard. This is an 8-month project. The bid came in under the engineer's estimate, and I recommend approval of this project.
Move to approve. Sorry, second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you.
Item 35, consideration and action to award a contract for the purchase and delivery of 2 street sweepers for the Brownsville Public Works Department.
Good evening, Mayor, City Commissioners. Tonight, I'm requesting approval for the purchase of 2 Timco sweepers from International Vacuum Trucks out of San Antonio, Texas. We're using the HGAC buy agency. These 2 sweepers will provide an added help to our street maintenance, please, as y'all can attest to that. Funding is available. The funding sources for these 2 sweepers will be through a special funding, the environmental fee. And if approved tonight, within 60 to 90 days, we should have these sweepers in
How
town.
many sweepers will that make?
A total of 8 are...
No. Let's go back. How many are working?
We're looking... Actually, we got 2 1997s that we're still making them go. One 2000, one 2004, and 2007.
Yeah,
so.
keep the parts, okay?
So aside from the aesthetics, these sweepers, correct me if I'm wrong, these sweepers would also be clearing, a lot of times we have the debris that I called you about earlier this
Yes,
week.
ma'am. Yes,
And that's clogging the storm drains.
Right. The most
So-
the most effective control measures to reduce surface water contamination from streets will be through the street sweepers, and it also minimizes the environmental impact, like stormwater runoff into our storm drains, resakas, and drainage ditches. So definitely, it'll make an
And we can
impact.
only afford 2.
And I had one more comment.
Yes, ma'am.
It also relates to an issue that was brought up earlier by Mr. Este about the bicycles that are coming into the road instead of inside the shoulder. And I had a conversation with Police Chief a couple weeks ago. He's a bicycle rider. And if there's a great deal of debris on the shoulder, then bicycle riders will come into the street. So it will
Yeah, he
keep
calls me all the
those
time.
areas, and I do too. It will keep those areas cleaner and it's safer for people that are riding their bicycles.
Okay. I hear a motion, or have I heard a motion?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, and I'm sure the citizens thank you, too.
Thank you, Santana. Appreciate it.
Mayor, before we close, we'd just like to clarify for the public that the consent agenda item on the smoking ordinance will be presented on August the 21st, which is the regular meeting.
Okay. And I'd like the city attorney to, if there's any provision whether you can have any kind of workshop that possibly would allow some of these folks to exercise their right to voice their pros or cons, I'd like that to be explored. So, as you can well tell, we have a lot of issues on the table with regards to budget and everything else, and it's difficult to put everything at the same time, okay? So if you guys would take a look at that, I would appreciate it very
workshop.
much, so that enough notice goes out, and so these people can voice their opinions and let their voices be heard. Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.